Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott. If you're here watching this video in 2026, then you probably already know the bad news. The price of media and storage has skyrocketed due to global demand from AI data centers. Early in 2025, I did a review of Samsung's premium 9100 Pro with heatsink SSD drive, and when I went back to look at my video, I saw that the price the day of that I did the review that I had put a screenshot into at B&H Photo, it was $549 USD on sale for a 4 terabyte drive. Fast forward to today when I checked the price for the exact same drive using the link that I shared in that video, today's price was nearly $1,400 US for the same drive. And so the price has nearly tripled over that course of time. Now, when I did that review, there were a number of people in the comments that said it's overkill. You don't need a drive that fast. And in fact, when I was doing my benchmark testing, having installed it into my own major workstation that I use for editing my photos and videos, I found that in fact the bottleneck was not the drive speed, but rather was the limitations of the bus speed of my motherboard at that point. And so I wasn't getting the full capacity out of the drive itself. That could be the case for you as well. And so I wanted to come back with a new review this year looking at a less expensive drive option. Now, unfortunately, less expensive is still expensive because the price of these has gone all the way up. But Samsung is coming out with a new basic 990 drive, and it has some positive things going for it. It's not necessarily a jump ahead relative to things that I have reviewed before. However, it is a lower priced option, and unfortunately, that may be where you're at, having to look at lower price option. And so the new Samsung 990 will come in a variety of variations. There's the basic one that I'm going to review today. Then there is a Pro version. And so the basic version is available in sizes of 1 to 2 terabytes, whereas the Pro version can be had up to 4 terabytes. So this is a PCIe 4.0, not 5.0 like the 9100 Pro that I reviewed last year. So a little bit slower bus speed, but again, if your bus speed is a limitation, you don't need the faster drive. And so this is an NVMe M.2 SSD drive. Now, one of the things that they are touting about this relative to the 990 Pro version is that this is not only a lower cost version, it is a more efficient version. It has improved power efficiency, and they say that it is 38% more efficient, making it a good option for laptops, for example. Now, as far as the stated sequential read speed, it is up to 7,250 megabytes per second, whereas the write speed is up to 6,450 megabytes per second. It comes with a 3-year warranty, and in 2026 prices, right now it is $529 USD. That's the MSRP. Often it is available for cheaper than that, but the MSRP is $529 USD for the 2 terabyte version that I'm looking at today. Here in Canada, it's right under $700 for that same drive. Now, because this is actually slower than the drives that I've currently got in my main workstation, I decided to take a look at it from a different perspective. So I wanted to see how it would operate if I put it into an inexpensive enclosure, using it as a portable drive. And obviously the benefit here is that, I've got 2 terabytes in what is a relatively compact form factor, and I still have the versatility that I can pop it out of here in minutes and pop it out of this in seconds and install it into an actual computer, laptop, or desktop, in minutes, probably, depending upon the configuration and how hard it is to get into that laptop. And so I wanted to do some benchmarking under using this kind of scenario, and just to kind of give you a sense of how, this kind of drive is going to compare in terms of speed as an external drive compared to the older drives. And so this is rated at lower write speeds than the 9100 Pro that I reviewed last year. So we're not looking at exceeding that, but rather seeing how it's going to perform in this kind of application. And so I decided that I was going to run benchmarking, and so I benchmarked 4 different levels here. I benchmarked an old 4 terabyte Western Digital My Book that I've used for storage in the past via a USB 3.0. Obviously, this requires an external power supply. Then I also did a Western Digital Digital My Passport, also 4 terabytes via USB 3.0. And then I did the 990 using this enclosure and USB-C. And then I did this laptop that I'm using right here actually has an internal M.2 SSD, though in this case it's a smaller 2242 also, but PCIe 4.0. And when I benchmarked these, I found that using this drive, it was painful. Now, I did both a smaller file size, in this case it was 4 gigabytes, and then also a larger 64 gigabyte size. Well, when I ran the big ones, it got really, really painful really fast. And so with the old Western Digital, after 10 minutes, I gave up. And at that point, it had only done about 17% of the write test, and it had dropped down to where it was averaging at just 19 megabytes per second. So painfully slow. When I moved to the Western Digital My Passport, it was a little bit better after 10 minutes. I still gave up, but it was up to 53% of the write test, and it was averaging at that point 58 megabytes per second. Using the 990 that we're looking at today via USB-C, it took 2 minutes and 20 seconds to do 100% of the test. And so it averaged out, again, externally, it averaged out at 939 megabytes per second write speed, and then surprisingly, a little bit lower for the read speed, 935 megabytes per second read speed. Now, interestingly, I got very consistent speeds, whether I was doing the small file test, 4 gigabyte versus the 64 gigabyte transfer. And so very, very consistent across that. So limitation there is going to be probably USB-C in terms of going back and forth and what I can communicate across that. Now, when I used the internal M.2 drive here, I was able to do the test in slightly less time, 2 minutes and 6 seconds to get to 100% of both read and write. But what was interesting is that while it started really fast, and it was really, really fast when doing the small file size, when I was transferring big files, it actually dropped down to an average of just 699 megabytes per second, while it still read really fast at 2,216 megabytes per second. And so what stood out to me is the consistency of using this drive, even in that external kind of application. So my takeaway from that is that if you are needing to do big file transfer, and so this could include if you're working with large, video files, I'm coming at it kind of from the video and photo editing side of things. If you're transferring large files, obviously you're going to benefit from that more consistent write speed and the efficiency of the drive. If you're wanting to do gaming off of Steam or using this in an application, maybe with a gaming console, then obviously it's going to be useful there. So what's my conclusion? Well, it is what it is at this point. The price of all of these is just so much higher, and it's kind of unfortunate to be reviewing a newer product that has lower specifications than what I reviewed a year and a half ago, and so I'm getting less performance, less storage for basically the same money as what I reviewed a year and a half ago. But it is what it is. That's a reality of what we're living with at this point. I would recommend buying the 990 if you're looking to save some money versus the higher end lines. Maybe you don't actually need the faster read and write speed because you have a bottleneck, as I did last year with the bus speed of the computer itself. So you don't need to spend more if you're not actually going to get the additional performance. I would also say it's worth buying for your laptop if you want higher efficiency. So you're using less battery power. You just want to make sure that it's going to fit. This laptop, for example, uses a 2242 sized M.2, whereas this is a 2280. And so it's longer. And so make sure that you can actually fit a 2280 in there. The other reason I would consider the 990 over some of the others is that it has no incorporated heatsink. Last year, I did install a drive with a heatsink, but we had to do some modification inside my tower actually to make it fit. And so I would, I could have just dropped this right in there. And so if you're in you have a configuration where space is tight and you don't need the heatsink, then this is a good option there. Don't buy this drive for a PS5 unless you plan to install a third-party heatsink, because PS5s do require SSDs that are installed into them to have a heatsink. I've been using Samsung SSDs, some M.2 SSDs for years at this point, probably about 5 years, and I've had nothing but reliable performance out of them. And so I have no problem recommending them on that front. If you want more information, I have thrown links in the description where you can either go shop or do a little bit more research there. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and let the light in.